Hello kids. Last class we discussed what habitats are, which are the places where animals naturally live, and then we even discussed what a habitat provides to an animal, that is food, water, environment and shelter. If you have any doubts regarding these points, then you can refer to the previous video. Right now we will be moving on to the different types of habitats there are. Maybe you may not be familiar with all of these pictures that I have projected in this slide, which is why we will be discussing each and every single type of habitat in the following slides. Let's start with oceans. You might already know what these are. Oceans are very large bodies of salt water that cover at least 71% of the earth. Have you heard of any ocean? Of course, there's the Indian Ocean right next to us. Then there's Pacific Ocean, there's Arctic Ocean. There are so many different oceans. Now, what does the 71% of the earth mean? It means almost 3/4 of the whole earth is covered only by oceans. And one thing that you need to be very careful about is that oceans contain only salt water. If it contains fresh water, then it's not an ocean. We will be discussing that later. Now, what are some of the animals that are found in oceans? As you can see, I've inserted some pictures here. This is a shark. These two are whales. And then there are many small fishes that are present in the ocean as well. All of these live together in an ocean. I've written the examples over here for your reference. The next type of habitat is mountains. What are mountains? They are elevated regions of land. What does this mean? It means land that has, come up, that is higher than the other lands. So if you have plain land and if you have a higher land, then that higher land will be a mountain. What are some of the organisms that are found in these mountains? As you can see, I have mentioned here, there's the brown bear, which is this. There's a Tibetan sand fox, which is this. And there's a very famous animal called the yak, which is this. Now, what does this word Tibetan indicate? Have you ever heard of the word Tibet? If you haven't, then let me tell you, it is our very own neighbor, China. And these Tibetan sand foxes are a special feature of the Tibetan mountains, which are a part of the Himalayan mountain range. Yes, the Himalayan mountain range. Everest is a part of that mountain range. Now, what is a mountain range? A mountain range is nothing but a group of a lot of different mountains that are present in one geographical area. So if I say one mountain is present, it's only a mountain. But if I say there are 5 different mountains present in that same area next to each other, then it's a mountain range. Now, the third type of habitats are freshwater wetlands. So, what are these wetlands? As the name suggests, these wetlands are places where the land itself is covered by shallow, clean water. Now, this clean water means that the water is not salted like in oceans, but it's fresh water. So, that's why these are called freshwater wetlands. Wet means something that's covered in water, and lands are the usual lands. Now, what are some of the famous organisms or animals found here? Well, there's the alligator that you will see near these wetlands. There's always the famous hippopotamus. Then there are beavers and otters, which are again smaller animals that are famously found in wetlands. And then there's this bird, it's called the avocet, that is also most commonly found in and near wetlands. Let's move on to the next type. Now, I am sure all of us know what this is. Of course, it's a forest. A forest is a large area covered with trees and undergrowth. What are trees? These long plants are called trees. And what are undergrowths? They are small plants on the land that do not grow as tall as trees. As you can see over here, there are some bushes. These are all called undergrowths. Now, what are some animals found in the forest? As you know, a forest is a hotspot of diversity, of biodiversity. What does this mean? that a lot of different types of animals and birds and plants will be found in a forest. Let's look at a few examples that we already know. One is our tiger. Then there are deers and reindeers. Then there are even birds like eagles, and then there's lions and everything. You can go through these examples once for your reference. Tiger, lion, deer, reindeer, eagles. Of course, there are a lot more different smaller animals like insects are found here, and there are rabbits and very, very small animals that we can probably not even see. All of these are found in forests. Next is rainforests. Now, rainforests are a special type of forests with very tall trees, warmer climates, lots and lots of animals, plants, and rain. Hence the name rainforests. What are some of the animals that are found here? As you can see, this is a cheetah. This is a monkey. This is one of the very famous birds that are found in rainforests called macaws. Then there are many other birds and many other animals also, like vultures and hyenas and lions. All of these will also be found in rainforests. Do not forget that rainforests are a special type of forest only. The only characteristic features that you need to remember are tall trees, warm climate, and rain. Lots and lots of rainfall. Let's move on to the next type. The next type is polar regions. Can you see this ice over here? Yes. So as you can see the ice, you would have probably guessed that these polar regions are found on the extremes of the earth. On the top part of the earth, which is called the Arctic Circle, and the bottom part of the earth, which is the Antarctic Circle. What are some of the animals found here? Well, there's the polar bear, of course. There are penguins, and there's the snowy owl over here. These are just a few of the examples again. There are a lot of other animals that can be found in polar regions. Next type is the deserts. Okay, so if you've heard of the Thar Desert of Rajasthan, then you probably already know what I'm talking about. Deserts are the world's driest places, having so little water and bare landscapes with very few plants or animals. So when we say the world's driest places, it means that they barely have any water. They have very, very little water in deserts. And as you can see, there's so much sand here. All this part is sand. And you can see there are very, very few animals and very few plants that actually live in deserts. What are some of the animals that live here? There's the famous camel, which is also known as the ship of the desert. Then there's the ibex, there are makrits, and there are a few other animals that live here, but these are the most famous ones. Next is a grassland. As you can see, a grassland is it's so green and beautiful. This is because it's covered with grass and small plants everywhere. So by its name itself, we can figure out that grasslands are places that are covered by grass and having very few trees. It is either because the climate is too dry or the soils are too poor. So if you can see, there's a tree here, but it's not a very long tree. It's a very short tree. This is because the climatic conditions of grasslands do not favor or do not prefer the growth of long trees, or the soil itself is not rich enough for big trees to grow. Now, what are some of the animals found here? The black and white striped one obviously tells us that this is zebra. There is the bear. There are frogs. This is a bison. Now, what is a bison? Maybe you might have never heard of this before. A bison is nothing but a special type of ox. What is an ox or a buffalo? It is a male counterpart of a cow. So a cow is a female. Like that, the male is a buffalo. And a bison is a special type of that. Okay? Let's move on to the next types. The next type is the urban area. Maybe this is familiar to all of you because we live in areas like this. Urban areas are the areas where people live. These places are filled with houses and other short, tall buildings or other houses and everything. And basically, you will not see a lot of animals here, except of course domestic animals, which we will be discussing in the next video. So basically, urban areas are those areas which have very less diversity in terms of plants and animals, but humans live here because these areas are preferable for human habitation. I hope this video has been helpful helpful to you for understanding what the different types of habitats are. And in the next lecture, we will discuss more about the plant habitats, about the adaptations that plants and animals make, and of course about some domestic animals and some specific habitats. Thank you.